says on the tin it's 1986. Now why are all three of us bored? Well, it's because we love water skiing at the weekends. And now it's winter, it's way too cold even for our gonads. Now, I don't know whose idea it was to get a motorbike, but I know Carl had one. And Paul had one. They're both a bit of a biker boys, where I was into the Lambrettas if you watched any of my previous episodes. But I went and bought this lovely little Mako 250 1976 model off Carl. And Carl had a KX250 Kawasaki. We'll get back to that one in a little while. And Paul, Karutri's mates, I have no idea what that one was. I have absolutely no idea at all. But it was pretty gutless, so I remember. So knowing me as a chrome plate and metal polisher, I actually did a little pimping on this Mako, because when I got it off Carl it was a little bit of a mess. So I give it a good clean, and here I am proudly with my Mako 250 1976 model. So we're very limited on places we could go field wise. So Carl and Paul suggested we went down the beach. You know, where all the horses go at the weekend. So off we trotted, get the joke, and we started playing around on the beach up in Kessingland, up and down the hills. And here are a few photographs, us posing, messing around, and there is Carl underneath this little hill, and there's Paul jumping over him, because that's what we did. We had some fun up and down Kessingland Beach, messing around and upsetting all the horses. After all the horses trotted away and a few times the police came down and we trotted off back to our secret location in a field with our trailer, I got bored with a Mako. It kept breaking down, and Carl said he's fed up with the KX250 because he said it's got too much power for a little person. Oh, sorry, Carl. Anyway, I ended up buying the KX250 off him because that was more suited to me, and he went and bought a Kagver 125 super cool Italian motorbike. Now, I like Italian motorbikes and scooters. So there we had a change round. And who bought the Mako? Well, my future brother-in-law bought the Mako off me, and Carl would become my future brother-in-law, and I bought the KX250 off him. Yes, it's a very small town, Now, Paul's little machine was a little bit older than my KX and Carl's Kagver 125. And yes, we did get a few breakdowns. And Spence started coming along on the Mako, and yes, again, he had a few breakdowns. So there we were. It felt like I was on a Lambretta again, that's all I can say. So there we were, look at that, up Kessingland Beach. Unfortunately, that's all gone now. It's all been washed away, so we were very, very lucky indeed to play around on a beach at such time in between all of the horses. Now, we were getting a bit of a few lads turn up, so my other bestie, Roy Bales, he turned up on his little Honda Crunch box. Yeah, I know, that didn't go everything. That was his daily ride, I have to say. But then we had Stephen Shaw turn up. Now, he was a couple of years older than me, but he knew Carl and Paul, Karutri's mates, at school. And he turned up on a homemade motorbike. Now, it weren't very grunty, but I do remember once Carl went to take it to the top of this hill. And I just remember laughing my head off, as did Paul and as did Roy, as Carl tried to get to the top of the hill as bits fell off it. Literally bits fell off it on the way up the hill. Now, on the way back down the hill, more bits fell off. And then, at the very end, Mr. Shaw, bless him, picked it up and stuck it in the boot of his car and went off. And I think that was the last time I ever saw Stephen Shaw, even though we're still in touch to this day. Yes, it ended up in the back of his car, going home. No trailer, that guy. Super cool. After all the antics down at Kessingland, we would then power back down to Pakefield, where our trailer was, outside the first and last pub. And yes, of course, it'd be rude not to, eh? We had to have a few beers. Now, while having a few beers in that cool little pub back in the day, we decided we're getting a little bit bored going up and down the hills down at Kessingland. So one bright spark said, let's go to Corton. Now, Corton is another story, and we only went there once. And there's a reason we only went there once. So here's how it went. We were going along a boardwalk. It was about 15 feet above the water. And we were going along. Caro was up front. Yes, Paul. He was up front. I was behind him. And then there was Carl. We were going along and I suddenly felt it judder up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. You get the picture, eh? And I stopped and I was swinging on one of the boards. I looked behind and Carl was doing the same. The boards got wider and wider and wider and wider. But Paul just carried on going. To this day, we do not know how he got off the boardwalk with these super wide gaps in the boards with a 15-foot drop off onto the groin, the other side, onto the sand. So Paul, Caro Tree's mates, safely landed on the other side. Now, me and Carl had to somehow manoeuvre our motorbikes backwards until the boards were close enough together so we could get back on our motorbikes. Then we went halfway round Corton and met Paul, Caro Tree's friends, on the other side on the sand. And on inspection, we could see on the steel plate the mark where his tyre had hit. We, to this day, do not know how he jumped from that last post, boardwalk, onto the groin, onto the sand. It physically cannot happen. And Carl and I both agreed the hand of God, we're not religious, but the hand of God had lifted him onto the sand, because other than that, 2 inches the other side, he would have been in that water 15 foot down. So to this day, we still talk about that one, and yes, we still wonder how Paul, on that little machine of his with no guts, actually jumped up into the air and landed on the other side on the sand. My younger brother by 10 years was into motocross too. Now, he was only 13 and he was hanging out with a bunch of guys down the Eastern Coachworks. So off we trotted again, get that, the horse. Now off we did trot, yep, me, Carl, and there we were, Spence on some machine, my future brother-in-law, and there I am with my other future brother-in-law. I told you this was a very small town, and here we are hanging out on a dirt track outside old Eastern Coachworks. Now that was quite fun for a few times, and there I am, look, taking a few photographs, click, 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 click. And I also remember we went up to Hopton Old Holiday Village, up on the cliffs. There was a few lumps and bumps to go up and down there. It was just me and Carl now, but I do remember we tried some stupid camera angles. Well, I did, because I was still experimenting with my little cameras. So here's a couple of shots. Yes, there's me laying down. You can't see me laying down. And there's Carl going over the top and vice versa. And yes, that was a nice little place to go. And we did have a rummage round inside there. And it was sad to see another building complex on the demise as well. Now, another memory was going up this old river. I say it was an old river. It wasn't. It was a stream. And it used to be part of the old railway complex in Lowestoft, before the demise of Lowestoft as well. You get the picture, eh? And we went right up to the top, right near Sussex Road, which is where I was born. And that was a hard little ride as well, up through this little stream. There was bricks, there was rubbish, and there was shopping trolleys and prams and all sorts. But Carl and I got to the top. And then I do remember, with no number plates or nothing, we thought, sod this, we're not going back down there again. And we took the road back down to Eastern Coachworks, which is where we started off from. That year, I do remember going to see my young brother race. He was in a little team. And on that day, they had end of season, the father's race. Now, I wasn't a father at the age of 23, but I decided to enter in all my best gear. Yeah, I had all my best gear on. And I used my brother's little 125 machine And bear in mind, there was a lot of former racers there and they got their sons involved. I went round and I came third, and here's my little trophy with me with it now. Yes, I came third, and I remember the guy handing out the prizes and he went, "You look a bit young to have third prize in a dad's race." And I quickly grabbed it and said, "Well, I'm having it anyway," and I took that trophy home with me. And I'm proud to this day to say I entered a race in all my good gear and I came third. And here's a few photos again of me racing. We turned a corner into 1987. It was getting warmer, so out come the water ski boat again. Yes, we were diehards. We did start in March, April time. And I sold mine because my KX250 just sat in the garage. Eventually Carl sold his. So did Paul, Car Outre's mates. And I remember Spencer sold the old Mako as well to a guy called Stephen Talbot and a guy Robert Reed, who I'm still in touch with. He ended up riding that as well. So it did live on. They did. I can't remember where mine went, but they were some really happy memories. 6 months through the winter, our scrambler lads just messing around on any piece of land we could get our hands on, up and down the hills, round Eastern Coachworks, through Hopton Village. What great days they were. But we did wear crash helmets. With no insurance, of course. Happy days. A happy memory. Let's cue some music and some more photos, shall we?